Okay, class, picking up where we left off at, we want to find f of 61 and what does it mean in terms of this situation. So what we would do is we would take this equation here and we'll substitute in 61 for t. So we have f of 61 equals 643.7570 times 1.0743 all to the 61st power. So now we will put this in our calculator. We will have 643.7570 times the parenthesis of 1.0743 to the power of 61. And we press enter. So this would give us $50,977.92. Because remember, we're doing this as far as money is concerned, and it's an approximation. So it says, what does it mean in this situation? The yearly tuition at Princeton will be $50,977.92 in the year 2011. Now, if we look here at E, it says find the F inverse of 60,000 by hand. Hence, you do not need to find the inverse function first. What does it mean in this situation? Okay, now we know typically when we deal with F, in this parenthesis, we know it's typically the X value, but this is actually the Y value. So we could take the original equation we had and put 60,000 for Y, or the F of X, and then we would set it equal to 643.7570 times 1.0743 to the X power. Now we have to go through and solve this. We can divide each side by 643.7570. And then on the left side, we will have 1.0743 to the X power. And then on the left side, we will have 60,000, still over 643.7570. Now, we do not want to divide this because we don't want to round yet. We only round at the end of the problem. So now on this side here, we need to take a log of both sides. So we'll take log 1.0743 on both sides. So it'll be log 1.0743 of 60,000 over 643.7570. And that's equal to log 1.0743 of 1.0743 to the X. Now, we can put this in our calculator. We'll press alpha, and then window, the number 5, and then we will type in 1.0743 for the base, and then we will type in this 60,000 divided by 643.7570. And then we will close our parenthesis and press enter. Now, this will give us 63 point, and we're supposed to round, if I'm not mistaken, we're supposed to round to 4 decimal places. So it'll be 63.2737. And that would be approximately what X equals, because we know this side would simplify out. And what this means in relation to the problem is this here. In 2013, the tuition at Princeton is $60,000. That's what this situation means. Okay, so now we move on down to the next problem. It says number 19, in 2003, 2.51 million books were in print, and that number has grown by 10% per year since then. It says A, let n equals f of t be the number of books in millions in print at t years since 2003. Find an equation by hand. Okay, so now it tells us that in 2003 we had 2.51 million books. So we know this ordered pair would be 0, 2.51. And it said it has grown 10% per year since then. So this is what will happen. We know that this is an exponential function. So what we would do is this here. We will have y equals, we know that it's a times b to the x. Now we're using f of t for y. So f of t is equal to, now we know a is the y-intercept, which here is 2.51. B is basically the growth. Now it says it grows by 10% every year. So we have to write this as 110%, which would be 1.10. And that would be to the t. Okay, so now this is the equation here. Now it says here, what is the n-intercept of the model? What does it mean in this situation? Now the intercept of this is 2.51. And what it means in this situation is, in 2003 there were 2.5 million books sold. That's what this means. Now we can write this as an ordered pair as well. So we can make this 2.51, 0, 2.51 to denote the ordered pair. Now we come down here to problem 20. It says recall that formula pH is equal to negative log of H plus, H positive. Coca-Cola has a hydrogen ion concentration of 2 times 10 to the negative 3 moles per liter. What is its pH? Is it acidic or basic? So we know we will have pH, and that's equal to a negative log times 2 times 10 to the negative 3, according to the formula. Now, we will have our pH, and we will have that still equal to, it would be a negative, well, actually, we could put this in a calculator. So we go here to the calculator. We would type in a negative log, then in parentheses, we have 2 times 10 to the negative 3 power. And that would give us, our pH would be 2.6990 if we round to 4 decimal places. And we know this is an approximation, and we know it is acidic. So anything under 7 is acidic. Okay, now with 21, it says how long will it take an investment of 500 to double if it is invested at 8.66% compounded annually? Find by hand, showing all work. Give 4 decimal places for B. Okay, so now we will have Y is equal to be $500, and we will multiply that by, because remember, it's at 8.66% interest, so we have to add 100% to that. So it'll be 1.0866 to the T, because it's increasing every year by that amount. Now, if you look here, the amount that we had that we were investing was well, we wanted to double. So our Y value would be $1,000. That's how much we would have, which would be double the value. So it would be 1,000 is equal to 500 times 1.0866. And of course, that's to, actually I should use X because we're not using T here. So it's to the X. So now this is what we need to do here. It says we want to solve basically for X here. So what we would do is we would divide each side by 500. That would give us 2 is equal to 1.0866. And that's taken to the X power. So now we will have log of 1.0866 of 2 is equal to the log 1.0866 of 1.0866 all to the X power. Now we will put this in our calculator. We'll press alpha, then window, the number 5, then our base will be 1.0866, And then our number here would be 2. And we could press enter. And that would give us, if we round to 4 decimal places, that will give us 8.3458. And that's approximately x, because we know these two would simplify out. So it asks us, what does it mean? Well, actually, it doesn't ask us what does it mean. So it'll be 8.3468, and we know that is in years. So that is our final answer. Now we scroll on to the next page. We come here to problem 22. It says solve by using your calculator. Show an accurate graph. Log 4 x plus 8 equals 3x, 3 to the x minus 4. Now what I'm going to do, I am going to show you the graph here. But remember, it would be, you have to draw a sketch of this. So now we would set both of these individual expressions equal to y. And then we will put that in a calculator. So now we will press our y equals button, and then we will type in, we'll press second, window, number 5. So we want log base 4, and then in parentheses we will have x plus 8, x plus 8. Okay, we'll press enter. Now our y2 would be 3 to the x power. You have to press that right arrow to get it back to the regular size, minus 4. Now we will graph this. So basically what you would do here, you would just show this graph here. You could just draw a little sketch of this. So now we will go to problem 23. Now with problem 23, it says thallium-210 has a half-life of 1.32 minutes. So now it says find an equation for the percent of thallium-210 sample that remains after t minutes by hand, showing all work. Give 4 decimal places for B. So we will have f of t is equal to, we know we will have 100, and then that will be multiplied. Now we would end up with, actually I jumped the gun a little bit here. It should be 100, but it should be b to the t. So as f of t is equal to 100 b to the t. Now our f of t, because it says it is a half-life, it would be 50. And this 100 here represents the 100% that they're talking about. So it would be 100, and it would be b to the t. Now, what we would have to do is divide each side by 100. So we would have 0.5, or 1/2, is equal to b to the t. Now, what we're trying to do here is we're trying to solve here for b. Okay, now in our directions here, it tells us that our t is 1.32 minutes. So we would substitute in 1.32 for t. Now, what we need to do here, remember, we want to solve for b. So this is what we would do. We would take the 1.32 root of 1/2 and the 1.32 root of b to the 1.32. Now, we will put this in our calculator. Now, we can do this. We would type in 1.32, press math, and then the number 5. And that's the 1.32 root of 1/2. We could type that in as 0.5, since we know 1/2 is 0.5. So our final answer here would be B is approximately 0.5915, because we're supposed to round to 4 decimal places. So now we write our formula. We have f of t is equal to 100 times the parenthesis of 0.5915, and that would be to the t. Now this right here is the final answer. Now we go down here to B. It says, what is the base of your model? Now, as the base is 0.5915, and this means that thallium-210 is decreasing by 40.85% per minute, because we have to subtract this from 100%.